Legislative deadlines are here, and what kind of impact does the suffering economy of California have on anti-2A legislation? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. That is right, we have legislative deadlines coming up. We've got potential good things happening with anti-Second Amendment legislation, which is the product of bad things happening to us as Californians. Here to sort it out, we have brought back on the legislative director of CRPA. You can catch him on Firing Line Radio on AM 590 The Answer on Saturdays at 1 p.m. That is Rick Travis. Rick, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And guys, before we get into it today, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. That is a direct way that you can contribute to Second Amendment advocacy in the legislature, as well as with Second Amendment litigation in this state. It really helps get the news out with the algorithms on YouTube. And of course, we're looking to get this out to as many people as possible. So Rick, jumping right into it here, we've talked about some bills, some successes throughout the legislative session so far this year. There's still some bad bills on the table up in Sacramento. Can you just kind of walk us through this year leading up to the deadlines we got coming up?
Yeah, Kevin, we have several bills that we've been working on. Of course, we have the every gun owner package that we've been talking about on a series of videos. But we've also had many other bills that we've been pushing, fighting. Some of those have, as we've discussed in our reports previously, have been gun amended away. Some have just failed. On tomorrow, the 17th, is a major deadline in both houses, and that is where a bill of origin, meaning a bill that originated in either the Assembly or the Senate, has to make it out by the close of business through its fiscal committee policies, which is appropriations, to be able to go to the other house. If it fails to meet that deadline, the bill is dead. And we have multiple bills, not just across the legislative spectrum, but here in the Second Amendment and conservation area that are in the suspense file, which normally I wouldn't be that excited about, but because there are so many, that's a problem. Why is it a problem? Two reasons this year. One, this is an election year. So none of these candidates want to be seen going in November as making a horrific budgetary situation worse. And secondly is, it's a horrific budget situation right now. You have a governor who I think everybody will agree with us has presidential aspirations, whether it's in 24 or in 28. And right now he has a budget that he himself said for the next 2 years is going to have a $60 billion deficit, which means, over the 2 years, $120 billion in debt. And so when you have legislative bills, many of the firearm bills have huge price tags in the hundreds of millions. Sometimes they're not willing to do that. He's making all sorts of cuts across the landscape, literally, as far as hunting lands and conservation lands. He's closing parks. He's doing all sorts of things to try to lower that deficit. But he's not going to be able to bring it into the black, which is point one, which is now causing a lot of people to be reticent to pass any of these bills. But thankfully, there's a lot of firearms bills that fall into this category that we may be able to stop from moving to the other house.
Yeah, just looking at the ledge report here, you're talking dozens of anti-2A bills that are currently in the suspense file. Some of them to note: AB 3064, which creates the roster for firearm lockboxes. Senate Bill 1160, which was gut and amended, but is still an anti-2A bill, which extends the punishment for those in possessions of a firearm that's not registered. Senate Bill 1253, firearms licensing scheme. All of these things have been put into the suspense file. It sounds like what you're saying is that the way Newsom's been running the state is kind of becoming a detriment to his own political ideology and pushing anti-Second Amendment legislation. We've talked about the suspense file in the past, and we've talked about it in a way where it could be detrimental to us because a lot of these bills get shoved in there and then pushed through on one yes vote. Can you talk about that a little bit and just how that might be flipping this year around?
Well, it is flipping this year around because, we have new leadership in both the Senate and the Assembly. So we have new committee leaders who have a longer period of time to try to stay in office. Before, when you had people such as Portantino, who was looking at like, hey, I only have a year or two, they're willing to take a lot of risks, play a lot of shenanigans, do a lot of things because the voters' ability to strike back is pretty much zero. But when you're some of the people in there right now who are in charge of those committees or the vice chairs of those committees, you have lots of concerns because you're still very vulnerable to voter, upsetment, for lack of better terms, where the voters might vote you out of office. The second thing is a lot of people are tired of the process. People are looking at it. And now, as a result of this budget crisis, you see videos every day coming out of Sacramento, deriding why do we have a program spends, $1 million on giving X to Y? And why do we have this? And why do we have that? So there's a lot more public scrutiny, a lot more media scrutiny. And that has allowed those of us that work up in the Capitol and our allies to be able to push home a lot of these issues and say, seriously, number one, you never had a reason to do this in the first place other than harassment and doing things that are unconstitutional. Number two, this is a price tag you can't afford on multiple levels. And so that has grinded the wheels in Sacramento. That's why you see Politico, you see other major political-based news agencies. That's all they've talked about this entire week is, wow, the climate's not going to get its money. And wow, the auto industry is not getting this money. And these people aren't getting this money. And these people aren't getting this money. Because right now it's slash and cut as much on this budget as possible. And adding new things to it is just not in the cards. Now, there can be detriments to that too. I mean, I just got off a meeting a few moments ago where we are talking about the chronic wasting disease that's been introduced to California. And, there's a lot of money needed for that. And the answer is we're broke. We have no money for that. So figure out something else. So it's not just a positive. The budget issue has a lot of negatives for a lot of Californians. And so in no way, shape, or form do I want people hearing me say, yay, the budget's bad, so we're going to beat these bills. Yay, we're going to beat these bills. But I do want to be cognizant of some of the deep hurts that small business people, families, and others are also feeling during this time.
Well, yeah, definitely not off the back of something that's good. It is bad for Californians when we're in an economic crisis like we are, but good in the sense that our civil rights won't take as much of a hit this year as they might in other years or years past. So basically, it sounds like we got potential for tomorrow being Friday at the deadline, seeing a huge chunk of anti-2A bills get wiped off the floor for this session. Rick, any thoughts about tomorrow or the rest of the legislative session on anti-2A bills in general?
Yeah, I mean, one of my thoughts is this is an excellent opportunity for people to talk about these bills to people they might have had some reticence talking to, because now you can do it under the guise of this is how bad California's economy has gotten under this leadership. We've been under this leadership for the better part of 10 plus years. Maybe it's time for a change. I think a lot of people that have been in the middle are very open to hearing that discussion and actually doing something about it. So we're seeing polling data and a lot of things move in a positive direction towards more constitutionally focused people and more financially and fiscally responsible people. And so I think this is not a time to lay back, but it's a time to double down and move forward.
Absolutely something to continue and watch. Obviously, CRPA is going to continue and bring the updates as bills come and go in California, get written into law, lawsuits, anything that can come after, and certainly the political campaigns, something to watch. If Gavin Newsom decides to take on a national political campaign, then this is certainly not going to be something that's in his favor as far as the California economy is concerned. But certainly more to come to watch for on these bills. We're going to try and keep you guys updated. Any final thoughts, Rick, as we close out here?
No, just everyone be safe and keep fighting for your rights.
Absolutely. I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot of bills to always watch, so I want to thank you for taking the time to be on with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, if you want to see more successes like this, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. The advocacy that we can get from the algorithms that push this message out can expand exponentially. So please like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so that as these things happen, they can get dropped to your feed so that you can see them happen in real time. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.